Donald Trump and top White House officials were evacuated from an annual media gala event after an armed man stormed the lobby and opened fire. The suspect was arrested at the White House Correspondents' Dinner on Saturday night at the Washington Hilton Hotel and taken into custody. U.S. media identified him as 31-year-old Cole Tomas Allen from Torrance in California.
The National Computer Emergency Response Team, NCRT, has introduced a structured set of criteria for registering cybersecurity professionals who will provide consultancy and audit readiness services under the Pakistan Information Security Framework, PISF. The move is aimed at strengthening the cybersecurity posture of organisations across Pakistan by ensuring compliance with security standards and improving preparedness for audits and assessment. Islamabad. Pakistan's exports to major Western and Northern European markets have recorded negative growth in the first 9 months of the current fiscal year compared with a year ago, despite the continuation of the Generalised Scheme of Preferences (GSP) status, raising concerns about weakening demand for Pakistani goods. The development comes against the backdrop of a shifting global trade environment, as the US-Iran conflict sends shockwaves through the Middle East, impacting global goods transport, accelerating the fall in exports to European markets.
And President Asif Ali Zardari on Sunday underscored the importance of bolstering industrial and technological cooperation with China, where he visited a heavy equipment manufacturer. The president arrived in China on Saturday for a week-long visit to the Hunan and Hainan provinces for engagements related to economic and trade cooperation. He will remain in Hunan's Changsha city until Monday and then travel to Hainan's Sanya from April 28 to May 1.
Israeli attacks have killed at least 4 Palestinians across the Gaza Strip, according to medics and local health officials, despite a ceasefire agreed last October. Medics said one person was killed in an air attack near the central village of Al-Mughrak, while 2 others were killed by gunfire and shelling near Gaza City. In southern Gaza, health officials said Israeli forces shot a 40-year-old woman dead in Khan Yunis.
Mali's Defence Minister General Sadio Kamara has been killed amid coordinated attacks on military sites across the West African country, sources told Al Jazeera. The news on Sunday came a day after his house in the garrison town of Kati came under attack.
And Pakistan has approved a higher-priced LNG cargo while rejecting cheaper offers in the latest procurement round, as it is betting big on supply routes through the Strait of Hormuz to open in the first half of May. Sources told pro-Pakistani state-run Pakistan LNG Limited Pehel cleared a revised bid of 18.4 per million British thermal units MMBTU from Total Energies for delivery between April 27 and 30.
China's top diplomat Wang Yi said Beijing will firmly support Myanmar in safeguarding its national sovereignty and security. In a meeting with junta chief-turned-president Min Aung Wang has been on a 3-country visit to Southeast Asia this week, traveling to Cambodia, Thailand and Myanmar, seeking to strengthen ties in the face of risks and present Beijing as a more stable alternative to the United States.
And Swiss International said that a flight from Delhi to Zurich had to abort its takeoff early on Sunday after an engine issue, adding that 4 passengers and 1 crew member were injured. The airline did not elaborate, but the Economic Times reported that one of the engines had caught on fire as the plane was accelerating down a runway, and that the passengers were injured during an emergency evacuation. And 2 Americans were among 19 suspected communist guerrillas who were killed in clashes with Philippine troops in a central province earlier this week, a government anti-insurgency task force said Saturday night. And the National Task Force to End Local Communist Armed Conflict said the Americans were killed with 17 other suspected New People's Army guerrillas in a series of clashes with army forces on April 19 in the coastal town of Toboso in Negros Occidental province. and the deadly fighting was first reported on Monday. And the man who might testify against ousted Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro is known as El Pollo, or the chicken. His wanted poster from the United States government lists his height as 5'3", his weight 130 pounds, and his hair bald. The nickname belies his resume. Former General Hugo Carvajal Barrios was once Venezuela's head of military intelligence, the equivalent of J. Edgar Hoover for the Hugo Chavez regime. In 2025, and he pleaded guilty in federal court to drug trafficking and narco-terrorism charges.
Police in the United States have arrested a suspected gunman who stormed the lobby outside the White House Correspondents Association (WHCA) dinner. Attended by US President Donald Trump, the firing prompted the evacuation of Trump, along with the members of his cabinet, from the media gala being held at the Washington Hilton on Saturday evening. The president later called the incident an attack by a would-be assassin. Internationally acclaimed photographer Raghu Rai, widely regarded as one of the foremost chroniclers of independent India, has died at the age of 83. The photographer's family on Sunday announced Rai's death in a statement, paying tribute to our beloved.
Sana'a, Yemen. It was August 2023, and Inaya Dastor was reading a school textbook while also keeping an eye on her goats as they grazed near her village, Jabal Habashi, in central Yemen's Taiz governorate. Whenever the livestock moved away, the then 13-year-old would walk or run to bring them back to the pasture near her house. With formal approval in place, Pakistan's telecom sector is now shifting focus toward operational readiness as preparations begin for 5G test trials in Gilgit-Baltistan, GB, and marking the next phase in expanding connectivity. The Gilgit-Baltistan's Policy Council has already cleared the policy framework for conducting 5G trials in the region. The matter is expected to be formally routed to the telecom regulator in the coming days for implementation.
The suspect arrested in the White House Correspondents Association dinner shooting on Saturday was identified by a law enforcement official as Cole Thomas Allen, a Los Angeles area man who appears from social media sites to be a Caltech graduate working as a part-time teacher and game developer. The official said Allen, approximately 31 years of age, is a resident of Torrance, California, a coastal town that is part of the South Bay area adjacent to Los Angeles, abutting Santa Monica Bay.
Karachi, the body of a boy who drowned after being swept away while swimming in a major waterline in Scheme 33 was recovered on the third day of the search operation. Rescue services said the boy, Zahid Mohammed Khan, was swept away around 2 p.m. on Friday while swimming in the Karachi Water and Sewerage Corporation, KWSC's line in Scheme 33 near Al-Azhar Garden. 4 years after the full-scale invasion of Ukraine, Russia is facing a spring of discontent. Rolling digital blackouts in Russian cities have touched a nerve with ordinary citizens, and public pushback against Russian President Vladimir Putin is emerging. The United States is taking stock of a shooting at the White House Correspondents' Dinner in Washington, D.C., where President Donald Trump was rushed from the scene. A gunman charged a security checkpoint outside the ballroom for the annual media gala on Saturday night, before being taken down by U.S. Secret Service agents as shots were fired.
After nearly 2 full slow-paced rounds, former Ultimate Fighting Championship bantamweight champion Aljamain Sterling recorded a decision win over Youssef Zalal in the UFC Vegas 116 main event. Sterling found an opening with less than a minute left in the second round and secured a 49-45, 49-45, 49-45 unanimous decision across 25 minutes in the fight on Saturday. He had several submission attempts, including a 4th-round rear-naked choke opportunity in the closing minutes. Ukrainian officials say Russian attacks in several regions have killed at least 5 people and damaged a ship in the port of Odessa, as Moscow claimed to have intercepted more than 200 Ukrainian drones. A Russian drone attack killed 2 men on Saturday in Ukraine's northeastern Sumy region, according to Governor Ole Hyhorov. He said civilians were hit in Bilapil, close to the Russian border.
And Ukraine is marking 40 years since the explosion at the Chernobyl nuclear power plant, the world's worst civilian nuclear disaster, with survivors of the cleanup operation returning to the site amid renewed debate over its human and environmental toll. At 01:23 on April 26, 1986, a botched safety test triggered a catastrophic blast in Reactor 4 at the Chernobyl plant in northern Ukraine, then part of the Soviet Union. And acting on the directive of Federal Minister for Power Sardar Awais Legari, the Power Division has formally requested the National Electric Power Regulatory Authority, NEPRA, to abolish application fees and remove licensing requirements for solar consumers. Installing systems of up to 25 kilowatts, the Power Division urged the regulator to align current rules with earlier regulations, since the revised framework could discourage small-scale solar adoption. And growing economic uncertainty in Germany could put more than 200,000 jobs at risk this year, something thousands of Pakistani workers should reconsider if relocating to Europe. A German news channel reported earlier that credit insurer Allianz Trade expects a rise in corporate insolvencies due to the US war on Iran. And the tickets for this year's HBL Pakistan Super League PSL are set to go on sale from April 27. The Pakistan Cricket Board PCB said on Sunday the final, with teams yet to be decided, would take place at the Gaddafi Stadium in Lahore on May 3, Sunday. The final would also have a reserve day, which is May 4. And the White House Correspondents' Association dinner late on Saturday took an unexpected turn when a man opened fire in the hotel hosting the dinner, prompting the Secret Service to rush United States President Donald Trump and First Lady Melania out of the event. The man, who was armed with a shotgun, fired at a Secret Service agent, according to officials, bringing an end to the glitzy media gala as guests rushed to take cover.
Donald Trump has been rushed out of the White House Correspondents' Dinner at a hotel in Washington, D.C. after a gunman fired shots and tried to breach security. The U.S. President, First Lady Melania Trump, Vice President J.D. Vance and cabinet members were unharmed following the shooting at the Washington Hilton Hotel.
And Ayo Dosunmu came off the bench to score a career-high 43 points on 13 for 17 shooting, and the short-handed Minnesota Timberwolves pulled away for a 112-96 win over the Denver Nuggets in Game 4 of their Western Conference quarterfinals series on Saturday night in Minneapolis. The victory, which gave Minnesota a 3-1 lead in the best-of-7 series, came at a steep cost for the Timberwolves, who lost 2 key starters due to injury.
It was meant to be a glitzy night with United States President Donald Trump addressing journalists at a Washington ballroom, but the glamour was shattered by gunshots that left guests diving to the floor, and the U.S. leader was bundled out by security personnel.
And facing severe public criticism for taxing sunlight, and the Power Division on Sunday directed the National Electric Power Regulatory Authority, NEPRA, to abolish the license fee and even the requirements of a license for solar prosumers below 25 kilowatt capacity. And in a statement issued on Sunday, a weekly holiday, the Power Division said that on the directives of Power Minister Awais Legari, and it has formally asked NEPRA for a review to abolish the application fee and remove the license requirement for solar consumers of 25 kilowatts and below.